Boys and I are out picking mulberries today. They love a pie when the mulberry season is in, and that started about 4 days ago. Our berries are looking ripe right here on this tree. There's gonna be about 4 different trees we'll have to look at as we move around. We'll pick all of the low branches, leave the rest for the birds, and see how many we can get. To make a pie or jam, our goal is to have 4 to 8 cups. So today we have a measuring cup that I've brought out. We have buckets and baskets and things, but sometimes they can be a little overwhelming because the berries are so small. And so the measuring cup works out nicely for the mulberries. That way we can just fill that and see how many we can get, and it's not too overwhelming. Okay, so we've picked on this tree. We're now up to about 5-6 cups, so we're going to move on to the next location. Okay, and just another word on mulberries. I know that sounds like a very unconventional fruit to pick off of the farm when there's so many other berries that you can make pies or jam with. But we love the mulberries when they first come into season, and it's something that's given to us. We don't have to tend for the trees. They're just right here. So we take that blessing and we do with it what we can. Another thing that's really neat about the mulberries is that it helps produce other berries on the farm. As the birds go from tree to tree, they also bring in new seeds. And so right here below our mulberry tree, I have a black raspberry. So I'll talk a little bit about that too. Let's turn this and see if you can see it. Okay, so this is the black raspberry. It does have 3 leaves. Here, this one's curled up. It does have 3 leaves here, but it is not poison ivy. It is the black raspberry. We have lots of other black raspberries on the farm. And so this one right here is a first year. It was seeded last year, and then this came up this year. Next year, then it will come up again, and that's when it will have the canes or the shoots, and that's where the black raspberries will grow from. You can also tell it's a black raspberry because the stem here has these little furry pieces on them. And so that is just another resource that we have right here on the farm. With the mulberries, it's just something about them that just the kids love. And they say, "Mom, the mulberries are on. Is there something that we can do with them? What can we do with them?" And so I like to take that wonder and that passion of theirs and be able to pick the berries with them and then turn that into something that we can enjoy as a family later. I just think there's something about the mulberries that the kids love, and maybe it's a telltale sign of picking, and they like to eat them right off the tree. We try not to eat too many right off the tree. We do save them and make sure we cook them down, whether it is in that jam or a pie. But it's something that the whole family can enjoy. Okay, we have our 8 cups. We met our goal. One thing I was thinking about while the boys and I were picking, it was so much fun. And that's what's nice, is that we get to work together. Everybody works as a team. One person will pull the branches down, someone holds the bowl, and then we pick. And it's just everybody working together. And that's what makes it enjoyable as a family. So now that we have our berries, we're gonna go ahead and go up and see what we can do with them. All right, I am ready to go ahead and start making that mulberry pie that everybody is anticipating. And so I will go ahead and walk you through how I make our pie. So I start with the crust. That way we can make the crust first, it can chill, and then we go on to the filling. For the crust, this is just a basic pie crust. So I'm going to use 2 cups of flour and 1 teaspoon of salt. And then I need to cut in our butter. So we make our own butter. This is what our butter looks like right out of the freezer when I make it. So this is fresh. I just take this and I quarter it, and that will give me a stick for each quarter. This is just under a pound of butter. So I'm going to go ahead and add 3/4 of a cup. So that's going to be 1/2 of a cup. And then the rest for 3/4. And then we'll save this little piece. That will go on for our pie filling. Okay, so now I'm just gonna go ahead and cut in the butter. So what we have is the butter's in the larger chunk. It's still partially frozen, so this might take a little bit of effort. And actually, I'm just gonna go ahead and chop that with a knife first. You might notice how yellow our butter is. Our butter is very yellow because of the breed of cow that we have. She is a Guernsey, and Guernseys are known as the golden Guernsey because their cream on the milk is almost a golden color. Our milk is white, but the cream on top is more golden. So when we make our butter, all of that cream condenses down into the butter, the fat solids, and that is what is left, is that really golden, bright yellow butter. So I'm just gonna keep chopping this up. Once I get this into smaller pieces, I can go ahead and use the pastry cutter. And you can use anything. You can use a fork. You can keep doing 2 knives. Okay, that looks like small enough chunks, and then too, as it continues to soften, it will get to the consistency we need. Okay, so as I'm doing this, I am looking for almost like a pea size chunks of butter. So right now I still have very large chunks, and I'm going for the smaller. Some are still kind of big there. I don't want to do this so much that it comes to like a sand consistency. I want that butter to stay in those pea-sized chunks, so that way it helps create those flaky layers. I'm just going to feel, because that gives me a better clue. So I'm looking for those chunks. That's about the right size. Sometimes I can mash them up a little bit more. When I work the dough, it's also going to help break those down just a little bit. But this is excellent because that frozen butter has chilled the flour, and that's what's going to make it come to its nice shape. Okay, so now we are ready to add 4 to 8 tablespoons of water. And I'll just put that to the side there. I'm just gonna add that right in, and then I am going to pull the dough together. You can use little bits at a time. I just know that my pie crust requires all of that water. I'm gonna keep working that dough. And then once it gets to a certain consistency, I'm going to start to use my hands. And that's just as it's kind of getting stringy. I don't want to overwork the pie crust. Let me check, yes, so it's very supple. It means we have a lot of moisture in there. It's getting closer. I don't want to knead it like I would a bread because that will activate the gluten in the dough or in the flour, and that will make it very tough. And so it's starting to string together. So I'm going to stop with the stirring, and I'm going to go to kind of patting it together. And that's how you're going to get flaky layers in your pie crust. So I'm just shaping it. I'm going to fold it. And the butter is very soft as it's thawing out. So I'm not to the point, I don't want to add any more moisture because the butter is going to go ahead and soften and help stick together. And so you can see those big clumps of butter. That's that size that we left together. Then I'm going to fold it, kind of pat it. Okay, it's getting closer. Once it's hold its shape and it sticks together, it'll go into the refrigerator. To stay cool until we're ready. Perfect. There we go. It's really coming together now. Okay, I'm gonna stop there. See if I can get this over. I'm just gonna put this right on the pie pan, and I'm gonna pop that into the refrigerator. And then this is going to cool while I put together the pie crust or the mulberries. So now I'm ready to start our mulberry filling for our pie. I have our mulberries that we've picked. I've sorted out 3 cups of mulberries. Before I did that, I went ahead and rinsed these several times. And then I just filled this with water and let it sit. And then this is the juice that's collected off of there. And I can use this to cook down and turn into jelly. So I will save this for later. I even have extra mulberries that I can do more jam or juice or another pie. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with my 3 cups of mulberries. And I'm just gonna put that right in the bowl we use to mix the pie crust with because it's all going in the same spot. And then I start with 1 cup of sugar. And then I have a 1/4 cup of flour in here. I have a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon and just a pinch of salt. I'm gonna add that in. And you can use flour or you can use cornstarch, either one. Today I'm just using flour. And then I'm going to add in 1 teaspoon of vanilla. And then to really make our pie pop, I'm going to add some lemon. And I'm not going to add the lemon juice because I don't want the pie filling to become too liquidy or runny. And that it'll take a long time to cook down. And so I'm just using the rind of the lemon. And I had made some strawberry rhubarb jam that required lemon juice. And so I knew up and coming I would be using this. And so I saved this. And it's just kind of a guess on how much to add. Up to your liking. I like to just add the whole rind. Okay, we're getting to the end of it here. I don't want too much of the pulp. Let's put that back in here. And then I'm just going to scrape all of these little bits right into our pie. And it smells so good with that lemon. It just makes me think of oncoming summer. So we're ending spring. In the next few weeks, it's going to be summer. So the mulberries with the lemon just really make that feel like summer's on. Okay, that's probably good. Now I'm just going to stir this all about. And with this pie, pie filling, I'm not going to cook it on the stove top. The berries are soft enough that when it bakes in the oven, that they will release their juices and they will cook down just fine. This is smelling great with that cinnamon and lemon. Okay, and I don't want to mash too much, so I'm going to go ahead and stop mixing. I'm going to go ahead and scrape all these good bits off of here. Okay, toss that back in one more time. And I'm just going to let this sit while I check our pie crust, and we'll see if that's ready to roll out. Okay, so now we are going to go ahead and roll out our pie crust. It has chilled in the refrigerator. I've brought it out and then went ahead and divided it in two so we can have a bottom crust, and this pie is going to have a lattice crust to it. So I'm going to start by just flouring my board. I just sprinkle some on. There's not really any measurement to that. And then I'm going to use this piece here, and you can start to see that it's getting those flaky layers, and as it rolls out, I'll just flip it and roll it and it'll all fit together. That will come together with the dough here in just a moment. So when I'm rolling, I am going to roll, I'm going to push out of the circle. I'm not going to take my rolling pin and roll back and forth. Instead, I'm just going to pull out towards me or push away. But I'm always working the dough outwards and not pulling itself back in. Okay, now it's time for some more flour. I'm just going to sprinkle some on. You can see as I'm working this, the butter is swirling together with that flour. We have a little bit of it there that just needs a little bit more. As you start to see the dough sticking to your rolling pin or the cutting or your rolling surface, you will want to add a little more flour. Okay, I'm just checking this to make sure it's even. Okay, so I'm going to fold that up, check to see if it'll fit here. This one I'm going to slip together. Okay, let's see if this fits. I just folded it into quarters and then I'm going to unfold it. See if we can shape it here. We're going to take this piece and just patch it in over here. Same thing with this. I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna patch it in right here. And then when we do our lattice is going to tuck down underneath, behind the edges. So I'm not going to do anything with the edges yet. And now we'll go ahead and roll out some strips for our lattice. Again, I'm going to flour that surface. Probably dry on top there enough, but just to be sure. And same method, I'm going to roll out, come back this way, but I'm only putting the force down on the rolling direction. So when I roll it back to me to get to this side, I'm not pressing down until I get to the direction that I want to roll. Oops. This is the top of our lattice, so I'm not too worried. The only thing I'm checking for now as I'm rolling is I'm making sure that the thickness of this is going to match the thickness of our pie crust itself. And then plus, I want to make sure it's wide enough that it'll cover the whole length of the pie. Okay. That should do it. I think that hung us over just enough. So now I'm going to pick this widest part right here, and I'm just going to take our knife and I'm going to start cutting strips. And I'm going to do just about 3/4 half-inch strips. We'll go a little narrow at the end. These are turning out to be more like 1/2 inch, which is that's what you end up with, our little scraps. And I'm going to start with this one first on our pie. So I'm going to put that one on top, and as I work the lattice on the pie, I'm going to use that. And then that one just goes on the bottom even yet. Okay. Same thing. Same thing, I'm going to do a stack. So these are nice long pieces. I'm going to put these right over here. I'm going to brush this area off. Don't worry, I'll clean this mess up when we're all done. Now I am ready to add in our pie filling. So I'm just going to take our filling and I'm just going to put it right into the base of that pie crust. Maybe give it one more stir here while it's going in. I'm going to scrape out all of this sugar and lemon bits. It smells so good. It's not even cooked yet, and it smells good. Just level it out here. I also like to put 2 tablespoons of butter just to dot on top, so I will go ahead and do that. And our butter is nice and soft now from earlier sitting out. Spread it out just a little bit. I'm going to start making the lattice, and I just picked that longest strip and I'm just going to lay it on top. I'm not going to tuck it in yet because for the lattice I need to do kind of an up down. So I take my 2 longest ones and just crisscross over the top. Then I take the next one and it is going to lay under on both sides. And now I need to do an over, and I'm gonna save this one because it has that little break in it right there. I'm going to save it to do under on the next one. So I'm gonna pick a different one for an over. There we go. Now I can use this one here, just kind of press it together. And it's gonna go right directly under this little one. I should see, we'll stretch it here. One more on this end. Okay, so now I'm just gonna fold all of the lattice sections underneath. I'm not concerned about these edges because it'll all press together. So I'm just gonna tuck this in on both sides all the way around. Getting closer to the end. Okay, so now I'm just going to do a quick little pinch to give us a little scallop on the outside. This is also a deep dish pie pan. A regular one would probably be suitable for this pie. Okay, so now we have lattice done on our pie. I'm going to go ahead and finish it off with an egg wash, and that's just going to give it that golden color. And I just scrambled the whole egg yolk and everything. Our pie crust has that butter in it. So it's going to be extra yellow with this egg wash on it too. But that's what's amazing when you start cooking with real foods, things that are produced naturally. The colors are just so vibrant. Also interesting that yellow and that berry purple are complementary colors. And so when it comes out of the oven, it's going to look wonderful. Okay, there we go. Here is our lattice pie. I have the oven already preheated, ready to go at 400 degrees. I'll do that for the first 15 minutes and then turn it down to about 375. And then it'll cook for another half an hour. So we'll pop this in and see it back when it's done. Okay, so we just pulled the pie out of the oven. It looks excellent. It has a nice golden brown crust. It smells great. So I know everybody's excited to try this after dinner. So we'll let it rest and cool, and then I'll check back in after dinner tonight. Okay. So I came back because I want to go ahead and cut this pie because I'm so curious to see how it turned out. We have not had dinner yet, but I am going to go ahead and slice it and plate it, and then I might even sneak a bite myself before anybody else gets to. So I'm gonna cut down the lattice so you can see. Oh my goodness, look how soft that crust is. It's not even hard. It's like a perfect cut right through that lattice. I'm gonna turn it here. And I'm gonna take just a small piece. I'm not gonna do a big one here, but I will cut maybe a little piece. You can see those layers already popping up. Okay, so that's one little cut right there. You can see it cut right through the lattice just great. I'm gonna put it on this plate. The first piece you cut out of a pie is always the worst. Every piece after that looks great. Okay, here we go. All right, it's holding together pretty good. Let's see if I can cut through. There we go. It's hard when you're holding the plate and not on a surface. It's so good. It's like you take a bite of it and I was waiting to feel it, and then all of a sudden it just like hit, like, oh man. And it's like very soft, unique with the lemon and the cinnamon, and really just the mulberry is a different, it's a different taste than a lot of other berries. It's not tart whatsoever. It is so sweet. And that's why there's a cup of sugar. Some recipes call for more, but I feel like the berries are so sweet. It does not need any more than that. So I'm gonna take another bite. It's so good. I will stop eating because you do not need to see me eat this whole piece of pie, but
it is delicious, and I recommend this pie 100%.
Okay, we are just wrapping up the day. We're getting ready for our evening chores. We'd had a full day of mulberries. We went mulberry picking. We baked our pie. We tried it for dessert after dinner. The boys ate it so fast I didn't even get to take a picture or video of them enjoying their pie, but both of them said it was great. And oh man, I tell you, the mulberries have such a unique flavor. It's so almost like a deep flavor with the lemon and the cinnamon in there. It's so unique. So I really encourage you to go out and try picking mulberries, baking a pie with it. And it's such a great resource because it's right there in your yard and it's right there for you. So I hope you enjoy it and give it a try. Thanks.